Transitional Youth serves young people 0 to 24. We provide long-term housing, we provide job training, we provide life skills, we provide mentorship. Mostly, though, we provide a safe place for young people to land where they will understand their value and that they are worth it.
Both for myself and for everyone that I've seen come through here, it's a turning point.
Transitional Youth provides a template to show these young people how to function in life.
It empowers people, pushes them further into the person that they're always meant to be.
So many of the young people that we serve don't have family. The family that they have, maybe there's a parent that's incarcerated, or maybe they've grown up in foster care, or, their families have just been shredded or shattered.
I've had the privilege recently of restoring relationships this past year with family that I would have never thought possible. And the catalyst for those things happening was being here, was being at Transitional Youth.
Our house managers who live on site, through our team who just wraps their arms around our youth in such a collaborative way. It's built community inside out and outside in, not only for our young people, but for our team.
As a kid who could have used a mentor as a kiddo, it was showing up. And that's the key.
It's all about relationship.
We're just coming with the arms of Jesus and the love of Christ to show them that they can succeed.
What drew me to Transitional Youth, to be honest with you, is just a deep, deep calling. And it's because I was one of these kids. I was 13 years old and on the streets of Portland. And that's where God met me and rescued me. And I knew that there were so many other kids out there like me, and they needed help. And so I started to make myself and God some promises that if I found myself out of the situation that I was going to come back and serve these kids.
Like I said earlier, it's about showing up, and it's about being faithful to the calling and faithful to what God's calling you to do.
It's really gotten my heart. The youth that we get to work with are absolutely precious. It's just taught me a lot personally. It's grown me spiritually.
I think the area that I see the youth's lives being impacted the most is truly the awareness that ceiling is ripped off and they can dream beyond their circumstances. Oftentimes, our young people are in situations that they're driven to or drawn to, honestly, government assistance, kind of services that kind of tether them to systems. And we want to help break those off, break those cycles of dependence on state and government agencies, and help them run a race of their own where they can work for their living, where they can learn skills, where they can come into a place of understanding they were created for a purpose.
Coming here has really helped me because I've been able to step into the dream of walking alongside of people so much, listening to them, loving them, and empowering them in their dreams for the future.
It's affected the way I live with my bros, man, like here at the house. The reality is that they're going through the same thing I am, man. Like we are all on a constant journey of trying to get where God wants us to be. Into greater proximity of his character.
When we ask the Lord, who am I? We're asking him, what's my unique identity? Like, what do you call me?
Transitional Youth has helped me discover who I am and who I want to become by watching the journeys of the youth that we're working with, because they're asking those exact questions. It's really honestly humbled me in a lot of ways to see how authentically they are approaching these huge questions.
Before I came to Transitional Youth, I was so covered in muck, I didn't realize that there were some dreams in my heart that were always nestled there. I had to shed a lot of those layers to get to the heart of the issue. And on the other side, I discovered that, yeah, I've got some big dreams, man.
I didn't know how much I needed community and to be surrounded by good, loving, genuine people that will not only drive me and push me in the right direction, but will also support me in my dreams and the things that I want to do.
One of the things I appreciate about collaborating, working with all ages. So at Vida's Ark, we serve mamas and babies. And then with Faithful Friends, we're serving children 6 years old to 9. And then with Breaking Cycles, we start apprenticeship at 14 years old. And then our housing starts at 18 to 24. And so I feel like there's this beautiful spectrum of young people that we're serving from 0 to 24 years old. And what I love about this too is that looking at our young people that are, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old that are living in our houses, if we had earlier intervention, I just think about some of the pain and trauma that they could have been saved from. And so I appreciate that we're working with younger kids so that the trajectory will change.
My view on fathers has always been really jaded. I could never think of God as a father because seen that, been there, not good, spit it out. But when I came to Transitional Youth, I encountered something I'd never encountered before. Older men who didn't want to hurt me. Older men who didn't want to abuse their authority. That was new to me. With a different perspective on what fatherhood looks like, it's also been a different perspective on what relationship in general looks like.
I think one of the things that I would love for people to know about the young people that we serve is they're somebody's son and daughter. And sometimes I have this incredible privilege to talk to moms or dads who have kids out there. But I always say, if you weren't crying for your child, then who would be? And those tears are actually a gift. I would like to tell you one story about a mom who called me one day, and I'd spoken at her group a couple of times. And she called me and she said, I suppose you're wondering why I keep calling you. And she went on to tell me how the reason why she wanted to be involved with Transitional Youth is because she has a son who is also homeless. And she'd not talked to him in over a year, and she didn't know if he was alive or dead. And she said, I just feel like if I can invest in the life of another youth, then maybe God will answer my prayers and rescue my son also. And I just said, to be honest, the homeless community in Portland is actually a little bit small. And not that there aren't a lot of people, there are, but we're out there and we know a lot of them. And I said, would you mind sharing your son's first name with me? And she shared. And I said, I know your son. I'm going to see your son tomorrow because he always shows up. And I said, would you tell me if there's anything you'd like for me to share with him? And so she said, would you just please, for me, give him a long, hard hug and tell him that I love him? And I said, you got it, absolutely. And so the next night we set up in downtown, preparing for our outreach, and up walks this young man. And I said, hey, his name is Eric. And I said, hey, Eric, I said, come here for a second. I said, can I give you a hug? Now I'm a mom, and I think kids need safe mom hugs. And I said, can I give you a hug? And he said, okay. And he let me give him a hug. And while I hugged him, I said, Eric, this hug is from your mom. I talked to her yesterday, and she wanted me to give you a long, hard hug and tell you that she loved you. And this young man literally fell out of my arms onto the ground and just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. And I got down on the ground with him. And I said, Eric, are you ready to come into one of our homes? Are you ready? We tried to convince him for a long time. And he said, I'm ready. And that very week, he moved into the Ritz family ranch.